Welcome to another episode on our channel. We're following up with the Green Hornet. We did an episode on Britt, Reid, portrayed by Val Williams, Green Hornet. Now we're doing Bruce Lee, who portrays Kato in the Green Hornet. So this is, a few of the articles here are from Captain Action. So the shirt is from Captain Action, the hat, the mask. The pants, I use a different pair of pants because the pants that came with Captain Action for this particular figure is too short. It's high water pants, as we used to call them. Too short, doesn't go all the way down to the shoes. And I use a different set of shoes. So I think he looks pretty good now and is a good companion figure for the Green Hornet. So we will pause and get a good look at him from his feet all the way up to the top of his head. We'll be right back. So Kato is pretty much in all black. He's got black dress shoes. He's got some black dress pants on. As we go up, we'll start to see what came in the Captain Action set. He's got that shirt. And I decided to put two fists on him for a pose. You can see his head sculpt coming into view, his mask, and his hat. Kato, Bruce Lee. So we're going to show him side to side. And over on this side. And then we'll get some close-ups of his head sculpt with the mask and hat on, and then without. So we'll be right back. So we'll go side to side here. This is the mask and hat from Captain Action. We'll pause and get close-ups of his head sculpt without the mask and hat. We'll go side to side again. Pretty good likeness. And there you go. We are back, and of course here is Bruce Lee, who portrayed Kato in the Green Hornet. He had two older sisters, an older brother, and a younger brother. So he was the fourth of 5 children. His 2 older sisters stayed out of the limelight. One of his brothers was a champion fencer, and another one was a singer who was basically, I guess, following in the footsteps of his father, who was an opera singer. His mother was of mixed Chinese and European descent. He was born in the United States, so he was a U.S. citizen. He starred in a film at the age of 10, so his first acting role was age of 10, and as a child actor, he was in like 20 movies. So acting appeared to be in his blood, so to speak. He was considered physically unfit for the military. He had an undescended testicle, I guess, and that judged him to be unfit for the military. Go figure. He was an awesome martial arts fighter, as we all know, and showed his stuff off in the Green Hornet when he was on that show for only 1 season, sadly. The one scene I remember, or I heard talked about, was where he was trying to save his friend, the Green Hornet, who had been tied up in a chair, captured by somebody, and he was to come down some steps and do a few fight scenes, and they were telling him, just be careful, could you jump 5 steps, you think? And just kind of just kind of walking him through it so he wouldn't hurt himself and that sort of thing. And when they actually filmed the actual scene, he did he took instead of going down the steps, he came down this kind of pole, and in the fight scenes, he just nailed it. Actually jumped up in the air and kicked out a light, and one of the actors, by the time he got to him, one of the bad guys, he kind of ran out the door, and it's like the whole film crew just kind of went like, they were just amazed at what happened, and finally somebody said, "Cut, that's a keeper." Val Williams kept voicing his desire for Kato to have more scenes in the series. He thought that would actually make the show more interesting, and unfortunately it only lasted for one season. What else can I tell you about Bruce Lee? He was a pretty darn good cha-cha dancer, apparently. So not only was he a martial arts expert and certainly embraced his own style and taught a lot of people in Hollywood even how to fight appropriately or more intelligently. And he was innovative, and on the list goes, but he was also a dancer, a cha-cha dancer of all things. He married, had 2 children, Brandon and Shannon, so a boy and a girl. Unfortunately, as many of you know, Brandon was killed on set of The Crow, so he lost his life early, just as his acting career was just beginning to take off. Bruce Lee actually was so physical when he did his martial arts stunts and activities and movies and so forth, would sweat quite a bit. He literally surgically had his sweat glands removed so he wouldn't create a lot of sweat that would show through on his clothing. He thought that was kind of embarrassing, so he literally had his sweat glands removed in his armpits. And that leads us maybe to one theory about his untimely death at the age of 32. He reported to have had a really bad headache. Someone had given him a painkiller for it, and it was suspected that he had an allergic reaction to some ingredient in the painkiller. But somebody else suggested that he might have died as a result of heat stroke, because his actual death was attributed to cerebral edema, swelling of the brain. And that can happen with heat stroke. Given that his sweat glands were removed, and we know sweat cools the body down, it may be quite plausible that he did die of cerebral edema related to heat stroke. He passed out once in some scene where it was too hot. So it's plausible anyway. So maybe the jury is still out on that one. I know for years it was pretty much accepted that he died of an allergic reaction to a painkiller, but it's plausible. It sounds very plausible. I didn't know his sweat glands were removed from his armpits. Given that information, it's plausible he could have died from heat stroke. Regardless, he died way too young, 32, age 32. And you think, well, what might he have done if he had lived a lot longer than that? So his death in conjunction with his son's death, just a series of tragedies that were unforeseen and sad, really, when you think about it. His wife was a teacher and a writer. She wrote about her husband, which became the blueprint for the movie Dragon, the Bruce Lee story that came out in 1993. So there you go. That's what I know about Bruce Lee and Kato. I forgot to mention one thing. As you all know, I did mention this part before, that I think Batman Green Hornet started the same year in 1966. Green Hornet lasted for 1 season, Batman lasted for 3 seasons, but they did some things together. And one of the things that was supposed to happen in one of the shows is that Kato and Robin would have a fight, and Kato would lose. Kato, or Bruce Lee, refused to lose in a fight to Robin. And you can understand why. I mean, the guy was awesome in terms of martial arts, and we know Robin didn't have martial arts qualifications. So that was probably a good decision on everyone's end to have it come to a draw. That's no harm, no foul. So anyway, so here is Kato, Bruce Lee, Green Hornet, Val Williams. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please have a great day.